let me try to give like a condensed version for myself. Uh, again, I like that kind of marker point of like the last 5 years. I think that's a good one. I like for a long time, for many, many years, almost 12 years, worked for my family's business in the Bay Area, San Francisco area, lived in San Francisco for 12 years, had a really did everything I accomplished and did everything I thought I needed to do in order to be happy, right? I had the job, the successful job, the good paycheck, the car, family, friends, the apartment, all of it. And I still just knew there was more. I could feel it in my soul. So for 12 years, worked for my family's business, and was working for my uncle and his son, my cousin. And my uncle is really like the kind of male figure in my life and kind of the head of our like family on my mom's side, like always hosting all the Christmases. He's like really the driver of like our family unit. And
The
there's a
patriarch.
yes, that's the word. Yes. Thank you. And this is why you need a co-host. Just fill in words for me. That would be great. Um, and, I was really, it was really important for me to be approved by him and to prove myself and all those things. So I was very entangled within this business. And he's a high-end developer in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley. And so I worked for that company, and it was truly his passion. He was amazing at it. And it was just not my passion. Was I good at what I did? Yes. Whatnot, blah, blah, blah. So I always knew, I always have been drawn to like self-development and understanding that there's, more than just like what's here in the physical, and always really wanting and feeling drawn to step into a role of helping others realize that for themselves. And so at one point it got to a point where I was like, I was really entangled with my mom and her health too. And, all my friends basically had moved back to the Bay Area. I'm originally from Northern California. So I had like my friend group there. I had a great apartment that was in rent control. So it was like a unbelievable price for where I was located in San Francisco. And so it was like these things that made me feel tied to where I was. And I burnt out. Like I burned out many times over those like 12 years, but like I burned out again, and I booked a solo trip to England.
Mm.
England was always just like this place for me that was like my happy place. And so I just went on my own over Thanksgiving for a week. And as I was there, I was sitting in the Queen's Garden in Regent Park in London, and I got this download of, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to move to England and I'm going to do a life coaching program. And so went back, told my uncle. He was super supportive. It was like the best response ever. And then I started untangling myself from everything, which took some time, but less than a year later, I sold all my stuff and moved to England and didn't know anybody, signed up for this life coaching program and lived there for 6 months. So this is the fall of 2019 at this point.
Mm.
And I lived there until March of 2020.
Mhm.
And definitely was like, this is my place. This is where I belong. It felt, I really resonated with it. I made friends that are basically family now. It feels like I made really strong connections there. And then the pandemic hit.
Mhm.
And then I came back to California, lived with some friends for a while, had the best time, honestly. We really had so much fun together. Luckily wasn't negatively affected by the pandemic in any way. And then actually went back into an old story of like, oh, I need to get a job, and I applied for a project management job and I got it with PG&E, our Pacific and Gas Electric company for California. And my heart sank when they called me and said,
You got
yeah,
the
we want
job.
to give you the, I was like,
Oh
and
no.
I called them back the next day, told them I couldn't take it, and booked another ticket to England, and went to England for another 6 months, and like literally landed, and they went into their second lockdown. So majority of the time I was there, I was in lockdown. But this will just give you a little insight of like who I am and like how I kind of operate. Um, the person I lived with when I went back to England was a woman I met at Starbucks.
That sounds like me.
Well, and that's what I would say. I was like, I think we're very similar in this way. Literally walked into
Whenever I
Starbucks
want
one
to
day.
change, it's like move to the other side of the country, move into my car. You definitely got to go somewhere though, different, mix it up.
Yeah, mix it up. We're both obviously very adventurous and
Yeah.
travelers. And
Yes.
we've talked about that. We're going to be going to Greece together at some point.
We'll probably we'll have a flat in Athens at some point in time.
I think so. I think so.
Oh my God. Okay. So you went
Anyways,
back to England and it's like, yeah, the COVID pandemic stuff really did extend much longer than any of us expected. So it was like another
yes.
lockdown. Yeah.
Yep. And was there, because as a US citizen, you can be in England as a visitor for up to 6 months out of a year. So
Okay.
I went back for another full 6 months. And
Mhm.
during that time, the only thing my brain could comprehend of being able to actually move to England was being hired by a company and getting a work visa. And
Mhm.
so, I won't go into all the details about that, but it was like hitting like brick walls, right? Like it was just like, no, no, no. And then I got connected with Sarah Landon and the
Mm.
council. And the second I heard her voice, not even the council, but her voice, it
Mhm.
was like home. Like everything she was saying, everything, I was like, oh my gosh, I know this in my soul that this is possible and this is a potential for all of us.
Yeah.
And she was really talking about being a way shower. And then she brought in the council, and I was just like crying, it just was like, oh my gosh, this is it. And shortly after that is when I again received a download that was like, enough, stop, like, stop trying to do these jobs that you don't want to do. Just coach right now. And I made that decision. And within a week, I had 4 clients without me doing anything.
Wow.
I didn't do anything. I just talked to a couple of people about how I wanted to do it. And then boom, boom, boom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, so this is now, spring of 2021. At that point, I was declaring myself a, nomad, a spiritual nomad. And I was just completely committed to following energy and following light, which then
Mhm.
brought me on a Europe trip, with a good friend, and went to France and Greece and Italy and Croatia, back to England for a bit. I went to the East Coast for a while and stayed with some friends. I came back to California, back to England. Now I just let whatever opportunity comes up, I just say, I feel into it. And if it feels right, I say yes.
Yeah.
So, have spent most of my time between England and California, I would say. But there was some time in Portugal, at Megan Olivier's. And then I spent when we met, I was up in Shasta,
Yep.
Mount Shasta, which is Northern California. And that was incredible. And then I started this year, and I was really, going, okay, I want to call in, um, just being grounded in one location for at least 3 months. Cause at this point I've been traveling and bouncing around for years, and just wanted to be in one location.
Mhm.
And I came down to visit my friend, my good friend we've been friends since we were 10, since the moment I moved from New York to California. I met her the first day of school. and she just had a baby and just bought a house in LA. And as I was here, I was sharing with her, I just, want to be in one location. Next thing I know, they're offering me to her and her husband to move in with them and be a au pair because she was going to be going back to work. And it was just so magical because exactly what they were going to pay me was going to cover all my bills.
Yes.
And
Like
it was
exactly, right? Like to like the
exactly. Exactly. Like I
Yes.
was literally like, oh, I need to like now kind of focus on making X amount of dollars a month at
Yes.
least.
Yes.
Steadily, and I was like, not sure how that was going to come together because I wasn't feeling really called to bring on a lot more clients, all this stuff. I was kind of taking a pause on all that.
Yes.
And so she comes in with this exact amount, live here, we'll pay for all your living expenses. I have my own space in downstairs and I also was really calling in a baby this year. I really would love to be a mother one day and whatnot.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, here she is. She goes, "You want to watch my daughter, who is now 5 months, at the time was 3 when she was asking me, or yeah, 3 months. And her and I have a connection. I truly believe that she called me into her experience. We called each other in to help with her transition from the non-physical into the physical. And we just have a special bond. And so it was just, once I sat with it, I again don't make any decisions out of like, oh, this logically makes sense. I do it all based on feeling. It was a yes.
Yeah.
So I'm in LA.
So you're in LA and I'm in Las Vegas. We're so close to each other. We still haven't met in person.
But we're going to. I can feel that.
You got your microphone on a little arm, and I might be moving into a house soon in which I'll get my microphone on an arm, and
Yes.
we've started a podcast.
And we started a podcast. Here we are. And I couldn't, a year ago, couldn't have dreamed of any of this.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this, is that these aren't things that were in my awareness or something that I had and could figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
But they've all come together in the most miraculous and magical way, effortlessly, like you were speaking of.
And continue to.
Completely supported.
Yeah.
Yeah.